The media knows Biden is a boring, weak frontrunner, and there's only so much they can do to help him. Here with reaction to this week's Biden blunders, I have former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer and Fox News contributor Dan Bongino. All right, Sean, the media is doing the very best they can to pump this guy up. But, I mean, you saw him speak. I mean, what are they going to do? They can't do everything.
Right. I mean, you look at both the comments you made about China and the comments you made about the Hyde Amendment. So you played part of that. 1 week he says that, come on, folks, they're not competition for us. And then the other part that he said the following week was, we are in competition with China. They are a serious challenge. How do you juxtapose those two things? 1 week he says he stands proud with the Hyde Amendment because he's been there his whole career. The next week he gives out something about how his moral compass, because he believes health care is a right, he's got to be against it. He has flip-flopped so much that in 2 months on the campaign trail, he has outdone an entire campaign of John Kerry's flip-flops.
Right. And,
but
and the media doesn't even cover the China thing. I barely heard it anywhere. Or the lie about no scandals. I barely heard that anywhere. Dan, the president was asked about going up against Sleepy Joe. Here's what he said. Listen.
I'd rather run against, I think, Biden than anybody. I think he's the weakest mentally. And I like running against people that are weak mentally. I think Joe is the weakest up here. The other ones have much more energy. I don't agree with their policies, but I think Joe is a man who is, I call him 1% Joe, because until Obama came along, he didn't do very well.
I mean, Joe's not going to be able to find his footing if the president's throwing haymakers like that.
Yeah, Biden's a weak candidate, Jesse. I have to disagree with you and Sean on one thing. It wasn't a flip-flop on the Hyde Amendment. It was a flip-flop. It was not
we
a 180.
Stand corrected.
It was. Yes, please. You got to. I mean, he was for Hyde since. Remember, I was born in 1974. So since 1976, he's been for Hyde. Then he was against it. Then he was for it. Then he was against it again. It was a 540, as I say, not a 180, not a 360, a 540.
Wow, you must have been a skater back in the day, Bongino.
Listen, I mean, this is incredibly weak. But if you're going to plagiarize, Jesse, too, and you're a Democrat, plagiarize, FDR. Not that plagiarism's ever right. Maybe JFK. When you're plagiarizing Michael Avenatti, you know your campaign.
Yeah, Avenatti actually said it as well. But Bayo said it first, and we got to give Scott credit. Now, something that really bothered me this week, ABC gets into the Oval, and they start trying to trap the president into, some theoretical scandal. Let's listen to how Stephanopoulos tried his very best to get Trump to say something controversial. Watch.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
You want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it. If I thought there was something wrong, I'd go maybe to the FBI.
So he says theoretically he'd listen to foreign dirt on an opponent, yet Hillary Clinton, Sean, paid for foreign dirt on an opponent, and then she used it to wiretap the president. I mean, the media doesn't even talk about that. How corrupt is it?
No, and actually, I'll take it a step further. It's fascinating because you're absolutely right. Christopher Steele went over, met with Russian officials, then created this dossier paid for by the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton, and that's forgotten. Oh, by the way, when we go to investigate it, when Lindsey Graham goes to investigate it, they talk about this is old news. This was last cycle. And yet when Kamala Harris was asked today if she was elected, what did she say? If I win, I'm going to investigate Donald Trump. So it's okay for Democrats to investigate Republicans, but it's not okay for Republicans to investigate Democrats.
It's such a double standard. And hey, do you remember this, Dan, when Pencil Neck, little Adam Schiff, thought he was on the phone with a Russian and it was some comedian offering naked Trump pictures, and he's, oh, yeah, send it over my way. I don't think he called the FBI, did he?
Yeah, and what about Senator Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia, who we've already seen his text messages trying to arrange meetings with Christopher Steele and Putin's right-hand guy, Oleg Deripaska. You can go see those online now. We have Democrats trying to collude with Russians. But here, Jesse, here's the ultimate hypocrisy, right?
What?
About a month ago, when we did get information from a foreign government about potential corruption, about Joe Biden's kid, Hunter, from Ukraine, and Rudy Giuliani exposed it and said, you know what, maybe this should be looked into. What happened, Jesse? The New York Times and everybody went crazy. Trump's weaponizing the government. So what do we do,
I
buddy?
know.
We
I know.
contact the FBI or not? Can you guys get your story
I gotta
straight?
run, but I think we both agree it's like a fake theoretical scandal. They're mad at Trump for what Hillary and the Democrats did. Unbelievable. Gentlemen, thank you guys very much.
Hey, buddy.
Have a great night.